Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and with me as always, Shruti Mishra. These are the top headlines from the startup world. Tiger Global-backed B2B lending unicorn Oxyzone nearly tripled its profit after tax to 197 crore rupees in FY23 from 69 crore rupees in FY22. Over the same period, income surged to 562 crore rupees from 313 crore rupees. It also doubled its loan book, with total assets under management jumping to 5,578 crore rupees in the previous fiscal.
Homegrown pet food company Drools gets $60 million from L. Catterton, a global consumer-focused investment firm. The deal, which marks the first external round of funding raised by Drools, has valued it at $600 million.
Short video app Chingari lays off 20% of its workforce. 50 people of its team of 250 employees got fired as the company looks to boost long-term productivity and profitability, it told CNBC-TV18.
Google is looking for suppliers in India to assemble its Pixel smartphones as it borrows from Apple Playbook to diversify beyond China, Bloomberg reported. Google has initiated conversations with Lava International and Dixon Technologies, as well as Foxconn Group's Indian unit.
Singapore-based Grab is preparing its biggest round of job cuts since the pandemic. Bloomberg News reported the layoffs are set to be announced as soon as this week and are likely to surpass a 2020 round that shrank the staff by 5%.
A surprise leadership change at China's largest e-commerce company, Alibaba. Eddie Wu will succeed Daniel Chang as the new CEO. Chang will now focus on the company's cloud intelligence business. Well, those are the headlines we've been tracking for you this evening. The threat of climate change looms large, and there is an urgent need to make concentrated efforts towards decarbonization. On the hot seat today, we put the spotlight on climate tech startup Newtrace that aims to transform the global green hydrogen market. Now, Newtrace develops and manufactures innovative electrolyzers that aim to reduce the cost of green hydrogen production by over 60%. To tell us how, joining me now is its co-founder and CEO, Prasanta Sarkar. Prasanta, welcome to Startup Street. Newtrace manufactures and deploys electrolyzers that are key to the production of hydrogen. It is estimated that investments for hydrogen technology deployment must hit $1.2 trillion by 2030 in order to achieve net zero emissions, which represents a huge market opportunity for electrolyzers. So if you could elaborate on the pain point that you're solving, and if you could also give us some use cases.
Sure. Thank you, Shruti, for having me on the show. So in principle, hydrogen is a very important process and feedstock gas in the industries. In India itself, we produce around 5 million tons of hydrogen every year, and involved around 100 million tons. And primary applications are in the refineries for processing the crude oil, for making industrial chemicals, for making fertilizer, which is a very key component. And there are two major pain points. All the hydrogen right now is being produced from natural gas, which means that we have to import natural gas to make all the hydrogen. The second pain point is basically the billion tons of CO2 emission that happens because of this whole annual production of 100 million tons of hydrogen.
Okay.
Right. And this is basically what Newtrace set out to solve for, because if you have to stop climate change, we have to really build solutions for the larger industrial segment and give them a cleaner and greener solutions.
All right. So tell me, Prasanta, how Newtrace is making green hydrogen production cheaper, scalable, and more efficient. And if you could also elaborate on your patent-pending electrolyzer technology.
Sure. So for us, the task is very simple. What we want to enable is basically the production of hydrogen from water and renewable electricity, and we should be at par or at cheaper than the fossil fuel-based hydrogen. And I think that then we have done the job. What we do is basically we leverage advances in precision fluid engineering to kind of produce and separate the oxygen and hydrogen, which means that we have developed the whole core technology indigenously in our country. And we have no dependence on any of the rare earth metals that the typical electrolyzer would have, or has any dependence on any critical components for which the supply chain is broken. So the whole core of technology, starting from the electrodes to the whole stack, has been developed by us. From really readily available material, which means that we have drastically reduced the capex of the electrolyzers while also improving the operation efficiencies of the system. So for every unit of electricity that we are supplying to the electrolyzer, we are producing more and more hydrogen.
Sure. Also, Prasanta, the National Green Hydrogen Mission was approved by the Union Cabinet in January last year with the objective of making India a leading producer and supplier of green hydrogen in the world and the creation of export opportunities. So what are the bottlenecks in achieving this target? Can you elaborate on the supply chain challenges?
Sure. So when the National Green Hydrogen Mission was discussed, there was discussions about mandate for industries like refineries and fertilizers. But it was never implemented because the major challenge was there were not enough supply of electrolyzers in the country to really scale those production of green hydrogen and offset the fossil fuel hydrogen. So this is what the industry has realized, that there is not enough electrolyzers. There are very few players who can manufacture electrolyzer. It's a very complex technology, and the supply chain are controlled by a few global players, and there is not enough supply of critical components and rare earth metal. So this is where the challenge would be in terms of finding those alternative technologies that has no dependence on any of the rare earth metal. It's something that we are trying to do, and also has no critical components reliance. What we also have working on is basically developing the local supply chain and vendor network in order to make and elevate their quality, the processes as per the global standards, so that we have enough supply, which is also creating business opportunities and employment into the market.
Sure. Now let's quickly talk about the recent fundraise of $5.65 million that you raised. Now with the fresh funds, tell me, how do you plan to drive expansion of Newtrace's electrolyzer manufacturing and deployment capabilities in India and the world?
Sure. So we are focusing right now on scaling our manufacturing. Making one unit is very simple. How do you make thousands of them in a year? And deploying at different parts of the country, as well as global deployments that we are planning towards the end of this year. Manufacturing itself is a very highly capex infrastructure game. And we are going to deploy a lot of this capital on scaling our manufacturing processes, solving for those supply chain and vendor capabilities, building redundancies in supply chain by finding alternatives, heavily investing on research and development to really improve the product and really make sure that we are making an industrial workhouse while streamlining the process for global deployments across US and Europe.
All right. One final question, if you could answer that quickly for us. Take me through the kind of partnerships you've built so far. What are the current business growth numbers, the reach that you've had so far? And again, I believe you're also looking to expand your solutions for long-term storage and conversion of green hydrogen and ammonia. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that too.
Sure. So currently we focus on working together with sectors like refineries. We are working with leading refineries, fertilizer units. And also there is a lot of interest that comes in from the mobility sector, and which is the long-haul mobility for trucks, buses, ships, and planes. And a key requirement there is the storage, which is a very difficult problem to solve. So we are working with different partners in order to find innovative processes of storing hydrogen and utilizing it, just like how you fill up a petrol and diesel tank. So these are some of the work that is currently under development. Ammonia is also one of the interesting challenges where hydrogen can be converted and shipped for longer duration to regions where energy is not very easily available. So a lot of different challenges there which we are trying to address as of now.
Absolutely, and we wish you the very best for that. Many thanks, Prasanta, for joining us on Startup Street. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me in the show. Thank you.
And moving on, Hopscotch, an Indian brand offering fashion wear for kids, has raised $20 million in a funding round led by Amazon. Now, the startup Series E financing round also saw participation from existing investors, including IIFL Seed Venture Fund, RPG Ventures, Lion Rock, and Tech Pro Ventures. Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin also invested in the round. Joining us now to discuss the fundraising plans and the road ahead for the firm is Rahul Anand, the founder and CEO of Hopscotch. Rahul, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Like I said, you're a kids fashion brand, and this market is a highly competitive one. You compete with the likes of First Cry, Baby Hug, and Love Lap, to name a few. So take us through how you're staying ahead of competition and what do you have on offer?
Sure. Thanks very much. So it's a very exciting time for us. We feel delighted and excited to have pulled off this round of financing in a pretty challenging market. And as we see the world ahead, Hopscotch is one of the top kids fashion brands in the country, both in terms of size, in terms of the love that we get from customers, our Instagram base, everything's sort of exploding, right? And given we've been bootstrapped for really long, what we hear from customers constantly is they want more of Hopscotch, right? We operate in a select set of categories where we're strong. and we have many gaps. And so we're going to listen to our consumers, fill those gaps, and scale our top line. Then I think in parallel, India is a vast country. It's huge. Kids fashion alone is probably 120,000 crore opportunity out there. And so the market's pretty big and it's growing. We're seeing a lot of premiumization of the category happening. And there's a lot of pent-up aspirations among Indian consumers as their incomes grow. They want to give their kids access to selection they never had access to.
Right.
And that's when they turn to Hopscotch, right? Because we give them more than any other brand out there from a fashionable from a fashionable design perspective, from a quality and price point perspective. I think those are the three dimensions that we focus and we'll continue to do so going forward.
So like I said, you've raised about $20 million. So it was led by Amazon. Talk to us about what that backing means for you and how do you plan to spend the funds? If you could quickly tell us what are the new offerings you plan to launch?
Absolutely. Let me put it in perspective here. I touched upon that we were bootstrapped, but I think this is by far the single largest round of financing that the company has ever had. We're extremely grateful and excited at the same time. And I think we're going to do two things, right? One, Hopscotch is a brand that's synonymous with a lot of the special occasions in a child's life. It's a brand that moms have systematically turned to for those special moments. It could be a birthday, it could be Raksha Bandhan, it could be Diwali, it could be Eid, it could be any festival, it could be seasons, right? So we do these special occasions extremely well, which are the hardest to do, right? These are the categories that people call the more fashionable ones, but they're also the riskier ones. And we built a very strong model there that others have struggled and failed for, right? What we don't do is the real meat and potatoes of the business, right? Which is the basic homeware, the playwear, the everyday wear. And we're going to double down and we're going to do that better than anyone else, similar to the way we did with fashion.
All right.
And move forward, right? So we're quite excited.
So you're going to double down on what you're already good at. So you're a digital brand currently. What's the kind of demand you're seeing on your app versus the website? What's your best-selling product? And what's the average ticket size of your orders? Is there a plan to go offline apart from just like your online strategy?
Sure. So the online metrics in our business are pretty strong. 85 to 90% of our revenues emerge from our own direct-to-consumer storefront, right? The remaining 15% is online, but from third parties. And I think in addition to that, we know the online market's exciting. Our average order value is about 1,600 rupees, which is pretty rich for the industry we're in. And we see about close to 2.5 to 3 units per basket. And 3 of our retail units per basket is effectively close to 5 or 6 units, right? That we've sort of retailed together in different merchandise offerings. So about 5 units per basket, 1,600 rupee average order value. Will we do offline? I think we absolutely will. It's not a question of if, but when and how we do it, right? And I think that's what we're taking our time to formulate. There's lots of great opportunity offline. We just want to do it with a strategy that will enable us to win.
All right. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. What about revenues? Where are you currently at? What's the target? What's profitability looking like? Where do you expect the next leg of growth to come from?
Sure. So I think we're currently trending at close to a 500 crore rupee revenue for the calendar year. We expect to get to about 2,000 crores in our business over the next 4 years. And I think in terms of how and what we're going to do, a lot of it will depend on, a lot of it relates to building new categories, filling a lot of gaps in our fashion selection, and in parallel investing in both brand marketing and distribution opportunities, both online and offline.
All right, Rahul, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We're completely out of time, but we wish you all the best going forward.
Thanks very much.
And with that, it's time for us to take a break. But coming up, Physics Wallah enters into a strategic partnership with Xylem Learning. We tell you all about the deal on the other side. Stay tuned.
EdTech unicorn Physics Wallah has announced a strategic partnership with Kerala-based EdTech company Xylem Learning to strengthen its presence in the southern region. Now, under this partnership, Physics Wallah plans to invest 500 crores in the next 3 years to consolidate its position in states like Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Xylem provides free classes to more than 3 million students via YouTube for medical and engineering entrance exams, and it has more than 1.3 lakh paid students across the online and offline channels. So joining me now to talk about the partnership is Prateek Maheshwari, the co-founder of Physics Wallah, and Dr. Ananthu S., the founder and CEO at Xylem Learning. Prateek and Ananthu, thank you very much for your time here. And Prateek, I'll start with you. Tell us about this partnership briefly. Why Xylem, and what is the deal size? Is it limited to the 500 crores, and how is it structured?
Thank you for allowing on the show. So, the brief details about this deal is we wanted a strategic partner to expand in southern market of country, and Xylem had build the right kind of distribution in Kerala and expanding to Tamil Nadu. The deal structure is it's a equity partnership, and 50% equity partnership we are having with Xylem. Moving forward, in the upcoming 3 years, 500 CRs we will be investing in this entire deal to expand in the southern part of the country.
All right, so we'll get to those details in just a bit, Prateek. But Ananthu, tell us briefly about Xylem. You're looking to double your revenues this year. Where are the profits at? And why did this partnership make sense for you?
Before the Corona period, we started the same like PW. How PW come into the picture? Same like we have started, but we are a little bit late. So we have started first our YouTube channel. So only single YouTube channel initially. So after that, right, so when the Corona came, so everybody is come to online. So the channel grow, it's like 10x, 20x, it's grown. So it's come to almost 3 million users right now, over 30 YouTube channels. We are giving free classes. And also we launched our app 2 years back. So it's growing like anything in Kerala. We are strategically partnering together. The reason behind that, our ideology is same, like either education is free or at most affordable cost. So that is the same thing that we both are doing. We think that we can do it together. Here, this association, we are trying to build a pan-Indian brand where two brands will be stronger, that much stronger in North India, and Xylem will be strong in South India.
Prateek, but tell us about your ambitions in the southern region. So this 500 crore investment that you're making in Xylem is also going to be used to look at further opportunities in the region. What would those be, and what is the size of the opportunity in terms of your earnings increase, the number of students you'll be able to add?
So, it's a very, very proud moment for us to do a partnership with the Xylem. Currently, Xylem is at a revenue of 150 CR, and this year we will be doubling it down. And next in the 3-year roadmaps, we are aiming to reach 1,000 CR revenue mark. We will expand the offerings of Xylem. Currently, they are a prominent player in NEET and JEE, and we are adding commerce, CA, CS, state PCS examinations to Xylem categories, and as well as we will be expanding into Tamil Nadu and Karnataka region with the help of the current Xylem team. PW will continue to support in terms of technology, in terms of content, and it will be lots of knowledge sharing, as well as we will take Xylem's strength to Middle East market as well. Lot of Middle East students are studying from the Xylem courses, so we will take them to the Middle East market also.
All right, but Ananthu, since you're going to be the torch bearer of sorts for Physics Wallah's southern expansion that Prateek was just telling us about, tell us, geographically, of course, he told us, but product-wise as well, what are the expansion plans?
We have a different hybrid model. For example, if you tell the structure of hybrid in a week, there is alternate day offline class we are giving. So we will give the timetable for the students. We have a hostel system. So our major, almost we have 15,000 students residing in our hostel, 15,000. So we have almost close to 150 plus hostels out there in Kerala. So in that hostel, students will study one day completely. We will give a pre-test before the offline class. So students will study, they will attend one examination, then they are getting into the offline class. We will provide a lot of content. So I will show you some colored, it's a single chapter colored material. Likewise, we are providing material for each chapter. So each chapter, the content, the revision, everything is completely structured so that students can easily study. This model helped us to scale it to 30,000 students last year.
Prateek, what kind of offline presence are you going to be eyeing? I mean, hybrid is the word that I'm hearing from both of you repeatedly, and that's the word that seems to be the buzzword with edtechs these days. What is the ideal mix between Vidyapeeth and your online classes and your M&A that you're doing? Where do you see this evolving?
So, hybrid is the new normal in edtech. So fundamentally, offline and online demarcation is with the business model, but students are truly hybrid nowadays. Vidyapeeth is also hybrid in nature. We do also have a lot of online touch points in our Vidyapeeths. But so Anantu is running a very, very different residential model out there. And we will try to replicate the same model with the Vidyapool, with the Vidyapeeth Gurukulam brand name in North India. And this will help us in strengthening the residential campuses in North India as well.
Prateek and Dr. Anantu, both of you, thank you for your time here on Startup Street, and we wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's all about Physics Wallah's latest partnership and their inorganic growth plans. Now let's put the spotlight on Games 24/7. The gaming startup started their journey in 2016. Since then, it has grown to become a leader in skill games, fantasy, sports and casual games. Now the co-founder of the company spoke to Shireen Bhan in New York. They are seeing 100% annual growth in new users, and they also spoke about the regulatory environment. Take a look.
10 years on, even after all of these various court battles, many which have gone in your favor, you're still having to explain game of skill versus game of chance, right?
That's true. But to lesser people, yes, to lesser people. I mean, far more many investors, people in the media like yourselves, people in the government, like many, many, many more people, understand now that difference than they did back in 2010, 2011. Another major high point is our funding round last year, where we raised 75 million at, 2.5 billion valuation and became a unicorn. Major high point for us, especially in a market that was very, very tough. I mean, end of 2021, the market's really starting to go down, and we closed that deal in March of 2022. So very proud of that.
Yeah, and you timed it right as well. But you talked about that $75 million and the unicorn status that you've acquired on account of it. So what's the next big milestone that you're hoping to achieve? I mean, are you looking at raising more funds? Are you looking at an IPO a couple of years down the line? And more importantly, profitability, because for a large part of your existence, you have been profitable, or for most part of your existence, you've been profitable, except for FY22, where you did make losses on account of significant spends on advertising and marketing. So is that likely to continue to happen? What's the story on that front?
No, I mean, I think we're going to start seeing dividends now from all the investments that we have made in the last 2 years. I think we're well on our way to profitability. That's what I would say. And also, even from the point of view of those 2 years, right, we look at profitability and growth very differently. For us, it's a question of whether, when we are going out and acquiring customers, are those customers going to be profitable for us, Because all our customers, whether it be on fantasy sports or on our rummy business, what we are always looking at is what is called the unit economics of the business. What is my cost of acquiring a customer? What is the lifetime value I'm creating from a customer? And as long as the lifetime value of a customer is greater than the cost I'm spending to acquire a customer, it is actually a profitable customer. Might mean that in the short run, you're investing in the business to acquire a lot of customers and driving growth, but the business has extremely good long-term profitability.
In terms of customer acquisition, what is the current sort of milestone that you've hit? What do you believe that you're likely to be able to do over the next few years, given the trajectory that you've been on?
When you say milestone, you mean?
How many customers will you have?
Well, I mean, right now we have, 130 million users on our platform overall. So very, very excited and very proud about that. I mean, in terms of user growth, new user growth, we're seeing almost 100% year-on-year growth in terms of our new users right now, both for our Rummy and for our fantasy business. So, I mean, last year we saw 100% user growth. So we're new user growth, just in terms of new users we brought onto the platform.
So what could this 130 million look like, in light of the game-changing regulations that have now been put in place? I mean, hazard a guess. Play a game.
The sky is the limit.
Yeah.
That won't give you any points.
No, we do see a meaningful uptake. It's going to really bring a lot of clarity to consumers as well, to players as well. Right? Can I do this? Can I not do this? Now it'll have a government mark. You'll be able to definitely do this, right? So our view is that that this definitely increases both user engagement and the users who are sort of right now sitting on the fence to say, can I try this or not? A lot more of those users will start trying it, start playing it, start engaging with the products.
So now with the new regulations, like the self-regulatory body is actually going to issue registration marks to each app that we'll carry, which actually gives comfort to the consumer.
Speaking of India, and one of the things that everyone's talking about and the impact that it could have across different sectors is AI. And you spoke about it, Thampi, about how you've been using that as far as the business is concerned. But potentially, what could it mean? In a world of generative AI, production cycles for everything is likely to come down quite significantly. I mean, how are you looking at that? Are you looking at it as an opportunity? Are you working that into the plan at this point in time?
I mean, we've been doing that for the last 10 years. This is all, a lot of it is behind the scenes, a lot of that. I mean, just in terms of, see, we're a very, very scientific business. And to us, the first thing that science means is understand, understand, understand. So we've spent a lot of time trying to understand our users. And that's not just, oh, I had an idea in the bathroom that this is what my user is like. To us, understanding a user means diving deep into data and being super objective about our hypothesis and what we understand about our users. But once you do, what you've really discovered is that, hey, these set of users, they have these preferences, these pain points, these are the things that they enjoy, and these set of users are different. So now how do I, with the same product, deliver very customized, personalized experiences to these different types of users who have very different needs, very different pain points? That's not something easy to do by just human beings writing code. You've got to get machines to be able to do that.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. Many thanks for watching. More news and updates continue on the other side on CNBC TV 18.